Senua's Saga is one of the simplest and most complicated games you'll probably ever play. Its fighting, puzzles, and exploration have all been stripped back to basics, but it's all done in service of telling one of the most intense, spectacular, and uniquely disturbing stories I've ever experienced.
Would you give your life for these outsiders?
The original Hellblade was a grim and brutal action-adventure game, taking us on a journey with lead character Senua as she literally battled her inner demons in her quest to bring back her dead lover Dillion, all while dealing with some severe psychosis. Senua's Saga picks up her story sometime after the events of the first game. Now, she's intentionally let herself be captured by Norsemen slavers in order to find out where they live and stop them from attacking her lands once and for all. I'll leave the specifics of the story there so you don't have to worry about spoilers. Much like the first game though, being on this journey with Senua as she deals with her psychosis is an intense and haunting experience. It manifests itself through various audio and visual hallucinations, most notably perhaps are the Furies.
She came here for a reason, and now she doesn't know what to do. You don't know where you're going.
These two guiding voices are always filling Senua's ears with every doubt and worry she may have, but they also reassure and affirm her, pushing her through some horrible experiences.
Are you going to let her kill you?
They also do a wonderful job of guiding you, pointing out where to go or what to do if you're stuck on something, although to be honest, you probably won't get stuck in this game.
You have to get to the right place. You have to look at it the right way to see it fully.
They aren't the only voices though, with the darkness returning, a voice that pretty much just says the most awful things imaginable.
Your hopes were always doomed to fail.
The audio work and voice acting is stunning and really has to be experienced, and should be experienced on headphones if you can. Their voices were recorded using binaural audio, which is a process that creates a surround sound-like effect, giving the sensation of the voices walking around and whispering in your ears.
Take your darkness with you, it's yours. Be in control of it.
You will never leave your past behind.
It's enough to give you goosebumps, and that bassy, gravelly effect they put on the darkness.
Look at them, Senua. The faces of the ones you failed.
Sends shivers down my spine. Senua is now more confident in her skin and comfortable with the voices in her head, but really that doesn't make what she has to go through any more comfortable for her or for us. This is a grim game with some dark themes that does not pull its punches. And I don't think I clocked a single attempt at any humour, so maybe don't go into this if you're feeling a bit fragile. But it's a brilliant tale where the lines between what's real and fantasy are near impossible to discern. Is this a world where giants are real, or is that all just a hallucination? And even if it isn't real, if it feels real to Senua, then as they say, perception is reality. The story, themes, and characters are all wonderfully nuanced and complicated, but it's hard to discuss them more without getting into spoiler territory, and to be fair, I'm still digesting it all and probably need to take a psychology class or two to really talk about it all properly. So for now, I'll just say it's a story that will absolutely stick with me, although it's probably more accurate to say it will haunt me. When it comes to the gameplay side of things though, Senua's Saga is much more straightforward. Combat is sparse, with only a couple of handfuls of big fights in the whole game. You'll only ever fight against one enemy at a time, and you only ever have a sword to fight with. You get a light and a heavy attack with a dodge move, and a special mirror that charges up as you fight, letting you slow time to really wail on a guy. There are a few different enemy types, but outside of requiring some slightly different timing, they don't really change up the combat at all. It's not particularly deep or complex, but it is satisfying, and timing your dodges and attacks to counter enemies always felt good, and on the default difficulty, it was a solid challenge without being frustrating. Visually at least though, when the combat hits, it hits hard. This is some of the most cinematic and visceral fighting I've ever experienced. The way the animations blend together and the weight of sword blows is intense and masterful, and in some bigger fights the way each new enemy is brought to bear has to be seen in action to be appreciated. So here, appreciate it. Across the adventure, there's a handful of what would be generously described as puzzles, but are more just environmental roadblocks where you'll have to find some patterns in the world and focus on them, or trigger a specific sequence of items to progress. They aren't the most exciting things to do, but they don't overstay their welcome and at least break up the action and exploration. And speaking of exploration, this is a very linear experience, with only a few little hidden paths to find. Although I did miss a lot of the hidden things, so they are well hidden at least. I think some may even say between the simplicity of the combat and puzzles that Senua's Saga borders on the realm of being a very violent walking simulator, and I honestly don't think they'd be too wrong. But my oh my, what a wonderfully wild and spectacular walk it is. I'm sure if you've got eyes, you don't need me to tell you that this is one seriously impressive looking game, but I'm going to tell you anyway. There's all the latest and greatest in graphics tech being used here, and they've created nothing short of an absolute visual masterpiece. And while it may be a slightly overplayed visual device by now, I did enjoy that it's all delivered as one beautiful continuous shot. The character rendering and performance capture is next level. Look at these little eye movements here. Look at this face. I mean, damn. And the environments are equally as stunning. The weather effects, the lighting, those fluid dynamics, I could honestly watch those waves for hours. And Senua's hallucinations create some truly standout moments and lead to some amazing transitions between places. Just bravo Ninja Theory. It's crazy. This is how games look now, everyone. I grew up with this. Now we have this. I did also enjoy how clean the presentation is too. There's absolutely no heads-up display. And thankfully it has an excellent photo mode too, so you can really play digital tourist in this nightmarish Icelandic adventure. It's a relatively short experience by some standards, clocking in at around 6.5 hours for me to beat at least. There is a nice little extra you'll unlock after finishing that I won't spoil and I haven't checked out yet, but it does make me keen to do another playthrough. All up, Senua's Saga Hellblade 2's gameplay may be pretty simple, but it does everything it needs to deliver a visually spectacular, intense, haunting, and amazing piece of interactive storytelling. Play.
The gods cannot be killed. All we can do is placate them.